We are streaming. At least it's set up to be streaming. All right.
Perfect.
Okay. So, I think that's the wrong group, but that's okay. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to unmute and just say hello to everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Unmute.
Hey.
Welcome.
You're not already in VIP. You need to be in VIP.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just ask you guys, just go ahead and turn off your cameras if you're up for that. Just turn off your cameras, and we're going to stream live into the Facebook group. And we just want to say welcome to the challenge. Welcome everyone to the Leverage Your Life Experience Challenge. How's everybody doing?
Yeah. We can still see the chat, right? Yes. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
All righty.
Absolutely. All righty. We're going to tackle a couple of things today. And Patrick, do you want to just start off asking people a couple of questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's ready to change your life? Who's ready to change your life? All right. Who wants to learn how to make money over and over and over? And I asked this before, but I'm going to ask it again. Who wants to create their own recession-proof economy?
Yeah.
Because that's what we're talking about. Yeah. If you want to do any of those things, then you came to the right place. And also have a good time.
All right, today this is day one of a 5-day challenge. And I think a lot of you are familiar with what a challenge is. The challenge model has been recently re-updated by Pedro Adao. And it's this place where we come together, we gather for a couple of days, and we actually are challenged so that at the end of 5 days, we come out differently than when we started. Okay. One of the things that I wanted to do in this challenge is, how many of you are service-based entrepreneurs? So you are a service-based entrepreneur, whether you're in vocational ministry or you have an idea for an entrepreneurial venture. Okay. So I was a decorator designer. You were a Wall Street guy. Mm. Okay. Both service-based businesses. And both of us at either end of the spectrum have taken our expertise and leveraged it in the online space. Can you talk a little bit about like the consultant piece, and then I'll talk about like the information product piece, just to give a little bit of background so you guys know who we are. Some of you are new to our vortex.
You're talking about my consultant. Yeah. So I was on Wall Street in the mortgage-backed securities part of the business. So everything that blew up the economy, guilty. And I continued on after that for about 10 years, but retired 4 years ago. And long story short, leveraged the 30 years I had in my specific part of the business into a consulting business that I do for people or institutions that are in that space. And so the key there is leverage prior experience.
Awesome. One, if you're understanding that, two, if we need to unpack that. Leveraging prior experience.
And I want to add, there's other things that I'm going to do as well that it doesn't have to be your career.
So good.
Because I did a lot of youth coaching. I'm going to do something in that. I've done a lot of different things that I can reach back and apply this to. And so as you think about your life and what you're going to do, you shouldn't take what I just said and think, oh, it has to be my career. It doesn't. And that's where the real power in this is. And I think that, you ought to. That's
one of the reasons. So a couple of weeks ago, I was sitting down and I thought, you know what, it's time to do another challenge. And I reached out to some friends and I said, I am looking for established service-based entrepreneurs. So if you are an established service-based entrepreneur, I want to hear from you. I want to know, and just go ahead and and tag yourself in the chat. Just make some sort of connection to that space. And the reason I'm saying that is because I had a luxury interior design business. It was all offline. And just like we're experiencing now in this economy today, back in 2008, my model radically shifted. I went from making money to not making money. And there was this fundamental, it's almost like a cratering. I haven't used that language before, but there was a fundamental crater in the in my actual business. And so I had to figure out how to leverage my expertise as a designer into a new industry, into an online space where people were connecting with me, and I could go from one to one to one to many. So I'd like to know in the chat, in the Zoom chat, for our VIP people right now, they're on the Zoom chat. And so I want to find out, I'm just making sure we've got some other stuff going on here. We're connected here. I want to know, does that make sense? You know, do you understand what I'm talking about? Because I think a lot of us are trying to figure out how to take what we've done, take our experience, take our expertise, and then package it in the online space. Okay. Let me know, one in the chat, two, one if this is making sense,
and two if not.
Two if not. Okay. Because 5 days from now, I want you to be able to have moved the needle significantly so that you can package and sell your actual expertise and experience in the online space effectively. Okay.
I'd like to know, is there anybody out there for whom this is a brand new thought? Is there anybody out there for who hasn't done this yet and is just now thinking, hey, maybe this is a thing, and it is a thing.
Yeah.
Maybe I should give it a try.
Yeah.
Just put yes in the chat if that's you.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
All right.
Thank you, Tamara. Thank you. Okay. Thank you,
Kevin.
Kevin. Yeah. All right. So here's what we're going to cover today in the challenge. We're going to cover 3 very simple, fast start accelerators. Awesome, Kevin. I really appreciate that. Yes, but you don't know how. Okay. Fast start accelerators. Okay. I'm going to tell a quick story. For those of you who've been with us a while, you've heard this story before. Because I don't want this to happen to you. Okay. I'm going to set the scene for a minute. I'm an interior designer. I have a business. I have a brand. We're doing okay. But I start to notice the profits are dwindling. Like the profits are diminishing, getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And I'm working harder and harder and harder. And it's like this, something's happening. It's like, well, I'm not making enough money. I'm working long hours. I'm exhausted. And I'm like, okay, then I'm going to go ahead and try to figure this online thing out. So I'm like, this will be easy. Anybody, when you're like, oh, that online thing, it'll be so easy.
Yeah, you just hide behind your computer.
Yeah, you just go out there and do it.
But the truth is, I mean, you're going to contradict yourself here because it is easy.
It is easy,
right?
However,
but not if you do it the wrong way.
Don't do it like Ann did in 2008. Okay, somebody write that in the chat. Don't do it like Ann did in 2008. No. Okay, so I am underneath. We had a basement at the time, kind of like how would you describe it?
A split level house, and one portion was unfinished. It's right underneath the kitchen. So you got pipes, you got cement walls, you got unfinished walls, 2x4s. And the reason I describe that is because this is a designer that we're talking to here. And so pretty matters. I hear it all the time.
Pretty does matter.
Pretty matters. I like it if it's pretty. The space has to be pretty. That's why she married me, because I'm pretty.
Okay, you know how when you've got that home office and it's not so pretty? Anybody? 1 if yes, 2 if no. One, if you've got a home office and you're like, it's not working for you, it's not pretty, you're not feeling it. Like 3 months. Thank you, Mona. Thank you, Kevin. What should have taken me a couple years.
Yeah.
Okay. Took me 5 years to finally leverage what I knew backwards and forwards in the online space, like to make money quickly. And the reason we're doing this challenge is I don't want service-based entrepreneurs like I was, service-based vocational ministers. How many of you are in vocational ministry? Just let me know in the chat. One, if you're in vocational ministry.
My master.
Angel,
That's
you got to
awesome.
get your office out of the master.
Yeah.
Okay, one, if you're in vocational ministry, just let me know in the chat. Okay, because we want to make sure that we are speaking to the people who are with us on this challenge. Now we're having trouble streaming into the right Facebook group.
Didn't you want to go into the consultant group?
No,
oh.
it's the other one. So we're gonna have to restream this into the Facebook challenge group. So let's just stay focused on everybody here. Over covert ministry. Awesome. Thank you, Lisa. So there are 3 things that I want you to write down that we're going to cover today. It's called the Fast Start Accelerator. Okay. These are 3 keys that we're going to learn to leverage quickly. Okay. The first one is time. I want you to write the word time down. If you're taking notes, if you're in the VIP group, we will make sure that you have the worksheet and the Business Advanced Brand Builder. Okay. The first is time. The second is money. The third is relationships. Okay. The first is time. The first Fast Start Accelerator is time. The second is money. And the third is relationships. Now, when we think of leverage, does anybody know what the word decision means? Does anybody know what the word decision actually means?
Yeah, I mean, it would seem obvious. So I'm sure you're thinking, yes, but we have a slightly different take.
Okay. All right. I'm going to draw on the board. We have time, money. Okay, relationships. Now, we're not talking about other people. We're talking about 3 Fast Start accelerators within ourselves. I want you to write, if you're taking notes on a piece of paper, I want you to write this down. This is about me. Okay?
You.
So, time, your time. You, your money or your capital, and not your relationship with other people, but your relationship with yourself. Okay. These are 3 Fast Start accelerators. Okay. Why do I bring these up in a challenge? Anybody want to take a gander, take a guess? Okay. The reason we talk about these on day 1 of the challenge is that we have to learn how to make decisions about time, resource, if the word money is a little scary to you, and relationship with ourself and congruency. Okay. So what is a decision? Can you talk about what a decision actually is?
Well, the root word of decision is incision. And It means to cut away. So a decision literally is cutting away other alternatives. And so, in our VIP session, we talked to some people, and one of the common things we hear is, golly, I cannot decide, right? And it's not just that you have to pick one, and it's that you have to actually cut away the others, not permanently, but for the time that you're going to try to achieve a goal with the thing you decided on. And it's that cutting away that I think people really struggle with. But what if I make the wrong choice? But what if I leave something on the table? And the reality is, if you don't focus, if you can't focus on something and get it done, it's incongruent.
Yeah, it's incongruent with who you are.
Yeah.
Okay. So who's ready for some good news? What in the chat? Are you ready for good news? Good news. This is within your power. Okay.
100%.
One of our clients, his name is Dustin. He came into our program, and in less than a month, he had cleared 25K in a single day. Okay.
It's doable.
Why do I share that with you? He's a hockey coach. He's a physical therapist who specializes in hockey. Okay. He specializes in hockey. I'm letting that sit for a minute. How many of you have an area of expertise? Can you just write that in the chat? I know Mona's area is training on peace. Tamara's area is training on learning how to actually connect with the Word of God. Melissa's area is an area of leadership. Angel's area is an area of amplifying your voice, getting a hold of how you're speaking. She actually has something called Roar Your Courage, right? Lisa's area is in emotional intelligence, okay? What is your area? If I haven't mentioned your name, Patty's area is in interior design, okay? For sandwich generation people. What is your area of expertise? Okay. The reason I share that our clients are getting a hold of this in specific areas that don't seem like they would naturally translate into online businesses, like transacting at higher levels, is that I want to give you hope. I want to give you some good news, okay? And the three things that we're going to cover today, if we'll make a decision about those things, everything else this week is going to unfold relatively easily, okay? Interior design, awesome. Tonya, thank you. Cancer healing, fuel and risk management systems. Come
Right
on,
on.
Kevin. Love that.
That's needy.
Kevin, we need that right now.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so let's go back to the board. All right. So our 3 fast start accelerators, write these in the chat, and then I'm going to write them differently so that some of you who might be thinking, I don't want to deal with money and I don't want to deal with relationship, with other people. I want to really emphasize what this is about. Okay. So here we go. The first one that we're going to make a decision about is time. Okay. Now, I'm going to share with you a rule of thumb that I hold for myself when I'm building out a new business. Okay. This is our fast start accelerator. Decision time. Okay. I'll just call it decisions. Time. I allocate no more than, I want you guys to take a guess, per month to work on my idea. Actually, no, it's not on, it's in. Okay, take a guess. Right, Mona, 10, correct. I allocate no more than 10 hours a month to be working in my business or in my idea. Okay. That means video time, training time, Q&A time, being available to my clients. Okay. That's the first one. How many of you think that's potentially feasible? Do you think that you could carve out 10 hours a month? Thank you, Lisa, to work in your business. Okay. Right? 10 hours. How many hours a week is that for you to be like on camera and available to your clients? Anybody want to do some math? Okay. This is your screen time. This is your available to your client time. This is our challenge time, right? 10 hours.
You're to saying 10 hours
a month.
a month. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the first decision we're going to make as a fast action accelerator is, are you able to allocate 2.5 hours per week to leveraging your expertise in the online space? Yes or no? Can you make that decision? Awesome. Now, who remembers what Patrick said about decision making? Okay.
It's cutting away.
So, yeah. What are you going to have to cut away to gain those 2.5 hours per week and 10 hours a month to achieve? Anybody? What will you have to cut away? Tomorrow's last day of school. Okay, so Mona is cutting away school. Anybody else? I'll tell you what I had to cut away. So we actually have multiple different businesses and brands. Our real estate brand is down to 3 to 4 hours a month. Okay. But when we start, I allocate about 10. In order to start a new brand, I have to cut away Netflix. I have to cut away HGTV. What else do I have to cut away certain things to make this a priority? Is anybody else willing in the chat to fess up about what they might need to cut away?
It's the reason I don't run 5 miles a day. That was a joke.
That was a joke. Okay. Doing things for other people. Awesome. Okay. Doing things you're not supposed to be doing. Okay. Now, who is willing to make themselves a specific list of things to be cut away? Let me give you an example. Awesome. Okay. What was that Netflix show? There was a show that we watched. It was a whole series. It was like a series from 1974. It was 2 English women.
Oh.
What was it called?
The Something Sisters.
The Something Sisters. So there was a show I was watching. It was on BritBox.
The House of
Elliot.
The House of Elliot. Okay. That's what it was.
So I'm getting real here. Anybody else want to get real? Okay. I had to cut away The House of Elliot, which I think it was a series produced in like 1974, and I got kind of hooked on it. Patty, you might like it. Don't watch it. But it was 2 sisters who created a haute couture line out of London. It's just a fictional story. It was a series I kind of liked. I'm like, I cannot watch this 2 hours every day.
Yeah. Now, I have to add, that is a little bit reflective of the stage of life that we are in, because we went through a stage where I was coaching 2 teams. We're on the board of directors of the country club. She ran the swim committee. Obviously, we're working, both her and her online business, me and my career. And so cutting things away would have been, I mean, that sounds frivolous. I don't think it's frivolous, but it sounds frivolous. But the reason that we include this in the Fast Start Accelerator is because you are going to have to make some decisions. You're going to have to allocate some time to this.
Yeah.
And if you don't sit down and think through what you're willing to invest first with your own time, then you're just going to sit there and it's going to always be out there as, oh yeah, I should do that. And we want you to go from, oh yeah, that's a good idea, I should do that, to I'm going to do this and I'm going to make money.
Yeah. Kevin, I really appreciate your answer. Because you say, honestly, it's work. You're working too much. That's where I was when I first started to take my interior design and decorating knowledge and put it into a package to sell online. And I was like, I can't afford to not work, but I know that I can't afford to not figure this out. And so I was caught in this catch-22. And it was like, I needed to actually just put a stick, you know, those bicycle wheels, like if they're spinning, you need to just put a stick in it so the whole thing stops. I had to actually start saying no to the lesser things and yes to the more profitable things. So we're actually going to get into that when we get into the next decision-making space for the Fast Start Accelerators.
And I want to add, you know, I know if you've never done this before and you're looking at it, and one of the things that people always think about is like, yeah, but what am I going to do? And, you know, what's the thing that I'm going to do and how am I going to do it? Believe me, we're all about that.
Yeah, what
the actual thing is the actual thing that you have to sell is the thing that drives it all. We're all about that.
Yeah.
But bear with us as we lay the groundwork.
This is foundational stuff. Okay. All right. Now, the first Fast Start Accelerator is time. I have fessed up my House of Elliott. Okay. I share, like, right in the chat, call yourself out if it's something like that. Okay. If it's work like Kevin and Tanya are talking about, we're going to get into the next one, the next Fast Start Accelerator that we need to actually make some decisions on. I'm going to call this wealth, money. Okay. I'm going to call it money, wealth. Right. Why is this a Fast Start Accelerator? Okay. All right. I'm going to go to another screen because we're going to do a little exercise. Okay. Are you guys having fun? Are we doing okay here? One in the chat if you're having fun, because if we have to have fun. If we don't have fun, we're not going to be as successful as we're supposed to be. Okay. One in the, I'm going to look for some ones. Awesome, Angel. Okay. So, we're going to do an exercise. Let's do $15 an hour work. $100 an hour work. And let's just do $1,000 an hour work. Okay, let's just start there. So this is where I was stuck. Kevin and Tanya, is it Tonya or Tanya? Let me know in the chat. I want to make sure that we're pronouncing names properly. When I was working in my design business and I was trying to figure out the online stuff, I was spending most of my time on things that I could have hired out for $15 an hour or less, but I wasn't willing to let them go. Okay. So here's what I want you to think about as we're thinking about making decisions for leveraging your money and your wealth. Okay. Tanya, thank you. Okay. This is especially important if, I think, Lisa, you were the one who said, stop doing stuff for other people. Okay. When I was working in my design business, I was doing a lot of things like accounting. I was doing social media graphics. Right. I was sending emails. Right. I was doing general, it's on my shoulders. I was doing general solopreneur work. Okay. Anybody know what I'm talking about? One in the chat if you're understanding what I'm dropping down. One in the chat. Okay. Let me know.
Cool.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay. What I needed to do was I needed to transition all of this work to someone else, and I needed to start doing the $1,000 an hour work. Okay. So I needed to stop doing that, and I needed to start giving time to my ideation, my imagination, and thinking like someone who is able to leverage money so that I could buy back more time. One, if this is making sense. Two, if I need to unpack it some more. Okay. So here's the decision question I have for you. Awesome, Kevin, Lisa, thank you. Here's the decision I want you to make today. How much time will I allocate to higher value output more valuable, right? It's how do I want to articulate this? So you're doing $1,000 an hour work. Okay. How much do you want to do here? That's the decision.
What do you mean? How much do you want to do there?
How much time will you allocate to higher value output?
And I think correct me if I'm wrong, the implication that you're drawing in is that the high value things related to the business that we're talking about here is going to be at least $1,000 an hour.
Correct.
It's not going to be the busy work. Busy work needs to get done. But the high value work of what the actual offer is and what the actual thing is, that's where the $1,000 an hour work gets done. Am I right?
Correct. So I'm going to go eyeball to eyeball this. Today, day one challenge. We're covering 3 fast start accelerators. Who would like to have this nailed down in the next 30 days? 1, if yes, 2, if no. 1, if you're like, let's get on with this. Let's get this thing leveraged online. 1, just let me know. Stacy, Mona, Kevin, Tanya, Tamara. Okay. 3 core decisions that you're going to make. They're going to stack on each other. We're unpacking those today. The first is time. Okay. We're going to have to make a decision about setting aside time to focus on this. Okay. Now, within the time that we have set aside, we are going to consider what the value of that time is. Am I going to set aside 2.5 hours every week to focus on leveraging my expertise online? And am I going to go waste 2.5 hours inside of a social media Canva template to make one graphic? Yes or no? Let me know in the chat. Yes or no? No. No, Angel, no. All right. Now, Truth Tank. How many of us have done that? Anybody ever wasted 2.5 hours on like a single thing, right? All right. So it's not just me. Okay. The reason we're covering this today is that if you really want to take this seriously and you want your life to look different 30 days from now, 60 days from now, 90 days from now, we need to make 3 core decisions about ourselves, not about somebody else, about ourselves to accelerate this process. Okay. That's where we're going on this second one. Okay. The third one. The third thing we're going to leverage is relationships. Only this isn't a relationship with your audience. It's not a relationship with your spouse, even. It's not a relationship with your kids or your pets or your current, I don't know, boss or company. This is your relationship with yourself. So point to yourself.
Okay. So you said we're going to leverage relationships.
Yes.
You meant relationship with
Nope.
yourself. No?
Nope.
Okay. I just want to clarify.
Yeah, because we're moving from Frady Fran to.
Oh, of course.
Okay. All right. Just say I'm ready to be, just actually write this word, congruent. I'm ready to be congruent with myself. Just write the word congruent in the chat. Okay, now, can you tell the story, the difference between like 2 people, like Frady Fran and, or do you want me to?
Frady Fran and
I don't know, Results Roxanne or.
oh my gosh. Well, Frady Fran asked, oh, this leads into so many other things that I want to talk about.
I know. Just hang with us. Stay with us today.
Frady Fran is worried about what people think. Frady Fran is worried about failing. Frady Fran is worried about money. Frady Fran asked the wrong question. Because the question that Frady Fran asks is, what if it doesn't work?
What are
if I
people going to
fail?
think? Yeah.
Right? What if it doesn't work? What if I fail? What if I spend a lot of money and I don't get anything for it? Results Roxanne asks, oh my gosh, what if this works? It's going to change my life. I'm going to be able to do this and this and this. All these people that I'm going to be able to impact. Results Roxanne has a solution-oriented mindset. Results Roxanne trains her mindset to be positive and not to entertain all of the obstacles that Frady Fran literally creates. So many obstacles that we create, that Frady Fran creates, aren't really real. And so Results Roxanne looks for solutions, believes there's a way, doesn't give up. And that might be the most important thing. Results Roxanne has made a decision and a commitment to succeed.
Okay. Thank you.
Is that good?
Yep. Why do we talk about relationships? How many of you have ever been afraid or slow on the uptake or taken a long time to prepare for your quote online business? Anybody? 1 if yes, 2 if no. Write in the chat. The reason I talk about relationships, I'm actually going to highlight this one in yellow, is we cannot give away what we don't possess. And if we have not made peace with ourselves in the process, we can't give it away online to our clients. Okay. If we're not congruent in the relationship and belief about ourselves, we actually can't package our expertise or leverage our expertise or leverage our experience into something that's easy for our clients to receive. So you'll hear us talk about Slow Joe, Frady Fran, two people who said they wanted to have an online business, but in truth, Frady Fran, let's call it Afraid Ann, spent 5 years not making a decision, right? Not cutting away the fear and just stepping into action. I spent 5 years incongruent, fighting my mindset, my heart, the fear that came upon me when I would try to go online, doing that. One, if you're seeing yourself in this story, two, if you understand what I'm trying to communicate here. Like, how many of you have ever been actually afraid to step out and to put your stuff online, afraid to commit to the process 100%, right?
And look, the if you can see it and call it out, that's a powerful position. The thing that's harder to deal with is when you're not seeing it in yourself, you're calling it something else. Because Afraid Ann or Frady Fran thought she was a perfectionist, but she was really avoiding.
Say that again.
She thought she was a perfectionist, but she was really avoiding. And we say it, if you work with us, you've heard us say this before. Procrastination and avoidance hides in the appearance of preparation. Oh, I'm going to push it back because I just got to do one more thing. Like, look, done is better than perfect. You've probably heard that said before. And a lot of times we avoid and we're fearful, but we don't want to think we're fearful. So we think we just got to make it better. And I'm all for making things better.
Yes.
But I mean, even in the software business, they have 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, 2.0, 2.1. I mean, it would be like in the software business, never releasing until you got version 9.0 and you have no business.
But you don't know what 9.0 is because you don't have any customer feedback.
Right. So you've got to release version 1.0 at some point. And I think that we're outstanding at helping people, kicking people out the door.
Okay, we really are. Like, I'm just going to own something for a minute. What do you say I'm best in class at?
So Ann is best at
go ahead and use, it's okay to use the fairy dust.
talking to somebody who has an idea. What I love about the online space is there's so many wide range of things that you can pull out of the ether and actually make a product itself. And if it's something, there are things that are concrete, like I want to sell widgets. Okay, well, we all can understand what that is. And you still need a process to do that. But there are other folks that have ideas about helping people that are very oriented towards how they feel, how they're going through life, how they're managing their day-to-day, their emotions. And she can take things like that and pull what I call fairy dust out of the air. And
write fairy dust in the chat.
and actually structure something that makes sense. And it's in, and if you don't know us, Ann's been doing this for forever. I've only been doing this, Ann, for about 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I've been most impressed with, you learn new things about your partner all the time. Well, not all the time, but like, but I had no idea that she had this skill. So she's outstanding at that. She is outstanding at taking an idea, whether it's selling widgets or something that is very ill-defined.
Productizing
and
it.
literally pulling it out of the air and making and productizing. Exactly.
Yeah. Making it into something you can sell
I
online.
think you are the best in the world at that.
I think I am too.
Yeah.
Let me share with you just a little bit of history, because I want you to take these 3 fast start accelerators seriously today. I want you to take them seriously. There's an international ministry which shall remain nameless that almost 10 years ago, I helped them structure, I'm going to call it their fairy dust, into simple, scalable information products. And then their team, which was expert at what they do, was able to take it and leverage it to over $1 million. Okay. And I guess, my background is a designer. So I basically take things that don't seem like they go together and put them cohesively in a package so they can be transacted. Okay. And if you will seriously take a hold of these 3 fast start accelerators, time, write this in the chat. I will make a decision. I will make an incision into my time to allocate 2.5 hours a week to this. 2, I will understand that the value trade for my time, I'm going to work on high value proposition decisions during my time so that I can leverage my money. And 3, I'm going to get really real about the congruency within myself. I'm not going to say I want to do this online business thing and then be so afraid that I waste 2.5 hours on Canva. I'm actually going to sit down and focus my decision making, my time, and my ideation on things that are actually going to move the needle forward. Okay. 1, if this is making sense. 2, if I need to unpack it. Awesome. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Mona. Thank you, Tamara. Thank you, Stacy. All right, we are going to do one more exercise. Thank you, Kevin and Tanya. We're going to do one more exercise to wrap up today, to emphasize this. Okay. This is called the 4 levels of value. If you've been around us at all, you've heard this before. Okay. Back in 2017, I wrote a book called Idea to Implementation. Basically, how do you take all the fairy dust of all these ideas and implement them? I have a phrase called owning the idea supply chain. That's where we really leverage making money online. Okay. So I structured this thing in 2017. A couple of years ago, I heard a very well-known coach called Myron Golden talk about the 4 levels of value.
Myron's awesome.
Myron is amazing. If you don't know Myron, he's a great gentleman to follow. And I'm like, hey, that's mine. That's my idea supply chain. So what I'm going to share with you, I share that with you so that you know that, a lot of times.
We don't think Myron stole it.
No. No.
He's smart enough to
He's
figure
smart
out.
enough to come up with it on his own. But there is this place in, I'll call it the spirit realm, where when God brings something into the earth, he gives it to multiple people, but each person has a unique expression of it. Okay. So what are the 4 levels of value? Just write this down in the chat. The 4 levels of value. Okay. 4 levels of value. Now, somebody write this in the chat. There is no morality to any level.
Yeah, we do not attach moral value to any level, one over another, right? This is not a value judgment of the people or their value as people. Very important.
Okay, if you want my book, DM me on Facebook and we'll put it in the mail to you. Okay. I'm going to give you all the different takes that we use this. Okay. I call it owning the idea supply chain. Okay. Myron Golden calls this the 4 levels of value. Okay. And this is designed to reinforce what we just talked about, the 3 fast start accelerators. Okay. This is to give you another perspective on it. The first level of value is called implementation. Okay. This is the person who does your fingernails. It's the implementation. This is when we sit down to create the graphic in Canva. Okay. Implementation. me know if you're getting this, if you're understanding. 1, if you're getting it. 2, if not.
Yeah.
1. Okay, implementation. Implementation caps at about $80,000 per year.
Right. So it could be a car mechanic.
Yep.
You know, it
It could be a decorator,
right.
a home stager.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the point Ann is making is that there are also things that need to get done in our online business that are implementation oriented.
Okay.
Or that fall into the implementation category. Not saying you shouldn't do them, but we're saying you need to understand the actual, you need to accurately put a value on all of the different things that are going to have to happen for you to build this online business, so that as you go down the road, you can make good decisions about what you're supposed to do and what you may want to have somebody else do.
That's really good. Can you say that again?
I don't think so.
Okay.
We're not trying to tell you that you should or you shouldn't do any one of these steps. And a lot of times when we're solopreneurs, we're doing all the steps, but you need to understand how to value all of the things that have to get done to build an online business, so that as you go down the road, you will be able to make good decisions about what you want to do and what you may want to have somebody else do.
Correct. Okay. 1, if you're understanding this. 2, if we need to unpack. This is foundational. I feel like if I could only do 1 day of a challenge and just teach the same material over for 5 days in a row, I would focus in on this. Okay. All right. The second thing I want to point out about implementation is it has a limiting belief. The limiting belief of implementers is more work, more money. This is where I was as a decorator, as a designer. I was like, oh, well, I just need more clients. Then I'll make more money. But guess what happened? If I got more clients, I had to hire more team members, which meant I was still only making the same amount of money, just a little bit more. 1, if you're understanding that. 2, if you're like, if it's not clear, because I was stuck here. I was like, I literally was on an airplane coming back from a client in Burbank, flying between Burbank and Oakland. And I was riding on the back of one of those Southwest Airlines. How many of you guys know Southwest Airlines, right?
Yep.
Okay. Buses in the sky, but we love Southwest. So I was like, I do.
Yeah.
So I'm writing on the back of my napkin, trying to figure out how I can actually make more money. And I was like, oh, well, if we got 10 more clients, then I'd have to hire 4 more people. And I was like, I'm never going to make more money. It's never going to happen. And so I was stuck in that limiting belief of, well, if I just work harder, I'm going to make more money. Okay. That's level number 1. Level number 2 is what we call managerial or unification. Okay. This is where you're 1 level up from implementing, you're managing stuff. Now, in my design business, we had a project manager. She made more money than the person who did my drafting. Okay. So managers typically cap at $250K per year. Okay. Anybody understand? Managers, 1, if you're getting this. 2, okay, thank you, Tamara. What is the limiting belief of the managers? I also had this one. Limiting belief. More education equals more money. Anybody? Anybody have that belief ever? Oh, if I just get my NCIDQ certification for interior designers, I'll make more money. Oh, if I just get associated with the National Association of Professional Organizers, I'm going to make more money. I had more letters after my name. I was like IIDA, International Interior Design Association, ASID, Allied, American Society. Like, are we getting the point? How many, like, do you know anybody done that? 1 in the chat if you've done that. Two have not.
Now, we're not against getting education,
No.
but I think the point that we're making is that it may not be properly valued.
Okay. One. I thought it. There you go. Right. Okay. Now, the next level up, communication, speaking. Okay. The next level of value is communication, speaking. I want you to think actors, professional speakers, everybody from, Oprah Winfrey to, the person who does training at corporate events.
Sales.
Sales is communication, right? Okay. Now, communication, speaking, and sales typically, potentially, there is no limit. Okay. Because you're actually communicating ideas, you're communicating maybe somebody else's words or another person's words. Okay. There's potentially no limit. One of the limiting beliefs is I have to say other people's PEOPL. Sorry, guys. Stuff. Okay. I am not good enough. I don't have it. Anybody? Anybody ever thought, I don't know what to share? I don't know what to
change
say. Which one?
POPEL.
PE.
Oh, there.
Oh. What?
Nope.
Okay, are we having fun?
Yes.
I have to say other people. Oh, okay.
That you are not good enough.
Yeah.
That you have to rely on somebody to give you the script.
Okay.
That you have to
Anybody?
rely on
Yeah.
somebody to kind of guide you in what you have to say.
Anybody ever thought this? One in the chat. One. Okay. Anybody ever concerned about that? All right, so I will just share with you, when I first started in the online space, I was always trying to think of other people's ideas. How can I share somebody else's ideas? Let me ask you this. I'm going to stop the share for a sec because I want to go here. How many of you have ever had somebody copy you? One in the chat, if you've ever had somebody copy you instead of come up with their own original stuff. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Mona. Thank you, Kevin. Okay. That person probably has a limiting belief in their communication skill set. Thank you, Melissa. Okay. I will tell you, I've had a lot of people copy me. And it's true. I'm like,
You'd be surprised.
wow. Wow.
You'd be surprised who does.
Who? You'd be surprised who has copied me. Okay. Why do I share this? Because you have free fast start accelerators. Let's like re-energize here for a minute. Just snap your fingers, do something to get yourself reconnected here kinesthetically. Okay. What are the free fast start accelerators? Just write them in the chat. Time, money, relationship. Okay. Time, money, relationship. Okay. Your time, your money, and your relationship with yourself.
Who are you going to be?
Who are you? Okay. Now, we're going to make some decisions today. I'm going to ask you to make some decisions today. And the rest of the week in this challenge is going to fall into place. Okay. I'm sharing the 4 levels of value because I want you to live on the top level. Okay. So we're going to go to the top level. the top level is ideation, imagination. Okay? There is absolutely no limit. Okay? The truth is, there's no limiting belief at this point. Because when you give yourself to this space of taking your relationship with yourself, sitting down, leveraging the idea portion within the time, everything else can be hired out. Okay. But what I find is that most people are afraid to sit with their imagination and their ideas and commit to this process.
Now, I'd like to add what she just said was sit with their imagination and their ideas, meaning your imagination and your ideas. And if you've been used to working for a company, one of the sneaky things that I think you have to really face down when you jump into this space is that it is your own idea. That means there is another layer of vulnerability that you have to get over. And so that's why all of these things that have to do with your relationship with yourself are very important, because when we work, let's say in a W-2 job for a company, which is awesome because I did it for a number of years, there's a whole stream of momentum that carries you along. So if you're having a day where you're not feeling it for yourself, if you just show up, a lot of times you're carried along by what's going on by around you, by all the people that are around you. But in this, it all keys on you. That's why you have to be dialed in on tight with your own intentions and tight with understanding where you're really at and what's holding you up. Because if you're not honest with yourself about that, you'll say it's another reason.
Woo!
And if
yes.
and
one, if you're getting this, two, if you're like,
yeah, and we love to create straw men and throw rocks to straw men, but in this instance, you're creating a straw man that's killing you because you're saying it's something else when it's not.
Yeah. Okay. Are you guys understanding this? 4 levels of value, 3 fast start accelerators. It all comes down to us making a decision. Okay.
Oh. I said that when you, Kevin didn't hear what I said, so I'm going to say it again. When you are in business for yourself, and you, let's say you're used to working in another company, and if you're having a bad day and you work at a company, you can show up, and the momentum of what's going on around you can carry you, and you're not you're only committed to your portion of what's going on in that company. But when you work for yourself, you're talking about an idea that you've generated that comes from who you are. So there's a level of vulnerability that you have to face down. And there are times where if you don't face down that vulnerability of you're not just putting yourself out there, this is your idea. So this is something that comes from your heart. And if you don't face that down, you can say that something else is holding you up when what's really holding you up is you have a hard time putting yourself out there and being exposed and vulnerable with your idea. Is that what I said?
Yeah. Why is this so important? Okay. Why is this so important? Why on day one do we just kind of dunk tank you in some of these foundational aspects of succeeding online?
Oh, you're jumping ahead to something that's okay. What I just talked about is really core to how we approach training people and in the online space.
Can you talk about that and wrap up? Let's wrap up today with that, and then we'll unpack a little bit more of this tomorrow. But I want to give you something to think about this evening where you can make some decisions. But you talk about that. Just wrap up that
So all of the things that go with building an online business are important. Being able to stream into another Facebook group is important, right? Being able to use Zoom, being able to write copy, being able to write a good sales funnel, all of those things that are uniquely online space are important. And we talk about those things. But what we have found is that when people decide they want to build an online business, they get focused on those things, which are tactics, and they don't focus on the most important thing, which is, what am I going to sell and will people buy it? And the interesting thing is, that's the same in any business, whether it's online or whether it's a brick and mortar. And so we like to start at that place because we think that's the hardest. We always say this business is easy. It's not intellectually difficult, but it's hard, like getting into cold water is hard, right? It's not physically difficult. It's not complicated to go stand in the ocean when it's 62 degrees, but it's uncomfortable, right? And so we like to start there. What is it you want to sell? And we have a method we use to find out immediately where do we stand on
what's going to work.
Because that's the question you need to answer. What you don't want to do is go invest a bunch of money,
a bunch of time,
a bunch of
relationships.
Yeah, and we've seen this. People, they build out their funnel, they do Facebook ads, they write copy, or they hire a copywriter, or they do all the things that you need to do that are unique to the online space. And then as they get closer to having to press send, so to speak, and actually launch their product, you start to see things like, I need to rework my offer, or I need to rewrite my copy. I'm tweaking my sales funnel. And what's really going on is people have invested all this time, and there's all this anxiety build up about, like, what if it doesn't work? What then? And we like to start there. Because that's the hardest place. And then once you've started there, now you're building everything else with some knowledge of where you stand. So that's a very brief overview of kind of our philosophy of how we and why we are outstanding at pushing people out of the nest.
Yep. Kind of the secret weapons behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I want to share with you. Your 3 fast start accelerators, if you will take them seriously and make some decisions tonight, the rest of this week is going to move you exponentially faster forward in your desire to have a successful online business. Okay.
And I would just leave you with this. You can do this. You absolutely can do this. This is not beyond the reach of anybody who's in any of our groups, free or paid, in our challenges. It's not, it happens all the time. And you have no conception of how vast the market is and how many people out there who will pay thousands of dollars,
multiple tens of thousands of dollars per month
for what you carry.
Yeah.
You need to edify it and package it, but
we'll get to that.
You can do this.
Okay.
I've seen too many people succeed to believe otherwise.
All right.
This guy included.
Right?
Right?
I took a corporate guy.
It's true.
Retired. And I'm like,
so you should be encouraged.
Yeah, be encouraged.
You should start daydreaming about what that's going to look like. Because that's going to help inform what you want to do, and that's going to bring energy into the present.
Awesome. All right.
I'm sorry, I was getting on a roll.
I know, it's all good. I love it.
I think you just kicked me, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Okay.
So here's a couple housekeeping wrap-ups. I'm going to have to download this video and stream it into the actual challenge Facebook group because for whatever reason, our Zoom didn't connect to the challenge Facebook group today. So tomorrow it will. That's the first thing. The second thing is do your homework. Okay. Your homework is make some decisions about your time, your money, and your relationship with yourself. Okay. The third thing is this: tag somebody who needs to be in VIP so that they can be on the Zoom with us. Okay. You guys
I had a
are
great
awesome.
time. It was great.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Come with questions and a smile.